Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
My name's Lindsey Baker. I am based in San Antonio, Texas, and I am a content creator, but also a full-time social media manager. And I don't even know where to start. I was raised with a single mom. She was overweight her entire life. She had a body shape that looked just like mine. And throughout my entire life, I knew it. I knew that first I was being raised by a single mom on a limited income. And that was something that I think helped me grow as a person. But I also knew that I was overweight and that my body was shaped differently. My mom, when she looked in the mirror, did not see someone that she loved. She did not like to look in the mirror. She had mental health problems, but I remember so many times knowing how much she did not like her body. That got pushed over to me at a really young age. When I was about 5 years old, I realized that I looked different. For the first time, I tucked my shirt in public. And that sounds like such a small thing, but I tucked my shirt in public and I looked around. Photos were taken and I didn't like what I saw. I saw a body just like my mom's, and that should be fine. But because of her negative perception of her body, I also had a negative perception of my body. I felt different, I looked different, and I knew that I was different. And this shaped who I was for the rest of my life. I started on diets as a young child. I remember taking diet pills out of some lady's van. And growing into my teens, you could see my self-worth drop. I heard so many times, "You have such a pretty face. You're so smart. You have such a great personality." And I never once in those years felt beautiful. All I felt was a constant urge to try to lose the weight, to try to change my body. And I would always be on one side of two extremes, one of overeating, binge eating, and the other of barely eating at all, desperate to get the weight off and to change my body. That continued on through my teens and into my 20s, where having a low self-worth fueled a lot of bad behaviors and really impacted how I saw myself as I started to navigate a professional world and dating and thinking about marriage and children. And finally, into my 30s, things started to change. I got married. I am married now to a wonderful man. And while I still could not see the beauty in myself, I finally felt like I had found someone that loved me for me and all of me, despite thinking no one would ever love me. we tried to have a child, and it took a really, really long time. I do have a daughter, and she's 4, but it took us a long time to get there. I had her, and I was in my mid-30s, and that was a little challenging for me to accept. And I had worked really hard finally. I had lost some weight, which I do think helped me get pregnant. And I don't know that for certain, but timing-wise, it makes sense. I had lost a lot of weight before I got pregnant with her. I had lost 100 pounds probably for the 4th time of my life, but I had lost a lot of weight. And I felt good. I lost weight. I was still plus size. I still had the body that I was ashamed of, but I realized at that point how strong I was as a person. I had surrounded myself with a group of women who are hikers. I joined a hiking group of all plus size women. So plus size women who are also strong and in good cardiovascular health for the most part, because we're hiking, and we're hiking anything from 2 to 5 to 10 miles at a time. And I started leading hikes with them. And that group of women helped me see something within me before I had my daughter. And that was that I was worth something, that there was more to me than my weight, and that my weight didn't define what I could do. I could hike really hard hikes, and I could hike for a really, really long time. Everything was going pretty well. I got pregnant. I had a healthy pregnancy. I was hiking throughout my pregnancy. I continued to keep the weight off through my pregnancy, and I had my baby. And while she was mostly healthy, she was in the NICU. She got home from the NICU, and then I turned around and went to the hospital. I had a pulmonary embolism and a severe C-section infection, and I stayed in the hospital for the first full month of her life. We came home, but I slipped into a depression because I was not the person that I had gotten pregnant as anymore. My body wasn't the same. After you have a pulmonary embolism and an infection, things change. And then I gained the weight back. I gained a lot of the weight back, and that was devastating to me. It hurt me internally, but also I knew at some point I would want to lose the weight again. And I didn't want to do it the same way that I did before, where I was obsessive about food, where I was obsessive about counting calories, where I was obsessive about weighing things, where I weighed myself every single day, multiple times a day sometimes. I didn't want that for myself. I did not want that for my daughter. I knew I had to make a change. I knew I had to see myself differently. I had already done some of that work with the hiking group and learning more about myself and what my body was capable of, even at a larger size. But I had to do more work. There was a lot more to be done, because I could not let my daughter end up like me. Not in the terms of end up like me with my body or weight, but end up like me as the constant struggle that I have internally with how I see myself in the mirror when I look at myself, how I see myself when I'm trying to lose weight, the actions that I take when I'm trying to lose weight. I did not want her to be like me. I wanted to stop that cycle. I wanted to stop it where my mom should have stopped it. And so that's my reason why I started to show up for myself. I had to start showing up for myself. I had to start working on myself internally. I had to get counseling. I had to get help. But most of all, I had to fake it for a little while so that she would never see that side of me. I didn't want her to see it. I didn't want her to be it. And I saw just how quickly she was learning everything about me and how my energy was fueling her, even at a really young age. And I see it more even now. She's 4 years old. She's healthy. She's strong. She's capable. She's beautiful. And she mirrors me every single day of her life. So I started creating content. It all started with me just getting up and getting dressed and being one with the world. And I did it. And other people saw me, and they saw something in me that they needed to see for themselves. And that's what started it all. That's what started my journey. And so now I talk about it all the time on social media. And I hope that my content finds the right people who need to see and need to hear the conversations that I'm having. So I talk about body neutrality. I talk about looking in the mirror, smiling at myself, speaking to myself with grace, speaking to myself with kindness. And I let my daughter see it, because that's the most important thing to me, is that she sees that part of me, the part that I didn't get to see from my mom. So,
Wow. Lindsey, you have been through a lot, and your story is just so inspiring. What I love the most is your why, the reason why you started showing up and expressing who you were. So, can you explain what the apron belly means and
sure.
why it's important to name it?
Sure. So my apron belly, it'd be a lot easier if I could show you, but my apron belly is a lower, and I'm going to say it wrong, pannus, Pannus stomach. It is the hanging belly that a lot of people have, either genetically or from C-sections even. I have always had mine, lucky me. But some people get it when they have a C-section and they then have the skin fold. And so it's a large skin fold. Mine tends to be a lot larger than what you might see when you Google the term pannus stomach or pannus belly or apron belly. And so I started calling it an apron belly because I had to call it something. I wasn't sure if the world would know the medical term. I wasn't even sure that I could say the medical term out loud on social media on a regular basis. Like, it just doesn't flow easily out of my mouth. And it wasn't a word that I was super comfortable with. Apron
Yes.
belly it felt like a term that physically described what I saw in the mirror. And I didn't come up with that term. That was a term that I've searched for a long time on my own, even. I'm not even sure where I heard it the first time, but I owned it. I owned the word apron belly because I knew that that's what people were looking for when they started looking for this type of information. And when someone plus size looks on the internet for outfits, you can type in plus size outfits online. You will not return a body that looks like mine most of the time. You will see the hourglass figures, and that I didn't fit into that world. I don't fit into that. I don't look like those women that you might think about. Even if you were to look at some of the companies that do a great job at showing a variety of body types, I still don't quite fit in to that. And I knew that there were other people, because I was told that. Oh my gosh, for the first time I see someone that looks like me, I knew I had to own it.
Yes.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to find me. So,
So, what was your lowest moment with body image, and how did you find your way back?
oh gosh. Oh gosh. I think that my lowest moment actually was quite early in my life. And that was when I was in the dressing room with my mother, of all people, trying to find swimsuits and jeans for school. I remember going into sixth grade and walking into the room, and this is in the era of the low rise flare jeans and the Tommy Hilfiger baby tees. And I don't know who remembers that era, but I do. It was probably a resurgence of the bell bottoms time frame, but that was what was popular. And I walked in not in that, and that was not available to me. And
Mm,
so I walked into school. I felt an immediate shift when I walked in with my stretchy pants, and then everyone else had the flare leg jeans and the baby tees. And I remember going home, telling my mom. She was a single mom, limited income, but she was always determined to make sure that I was dressed in a way that I was proud of, even if she had to do without. And so we went off shopping probably that weekend, and we went to all the places that carried the little plus size Miss clothes, likely a Fashion Bug in there, a Sears, places like that. And what I found was that I still didn't fit. So even if they sold my size, my body was a different shape than the
Yeah.
garments. And so while I could wear them, I wasn't wearing them. I wasn't owning them, and they did not fit my body in a way that I felt good about. And so being in that dressing room, fighting with my mom over clothes, not that it was ever a fight about the clothes, it was
Mm.
more of a fight with the clothes. And so I think that that's when I hit my lowest, right
Yeah.
around that time. And then into my 20s was also challenging when I was entering a professional workplace and not really fitting into that either. I fit in personality wise just fine, but
Mm.
we were entering the skinny jean era, which was not doing me any favors. And so everyone was wearing skinny pants of some type to the workplace. And on Fridays, they would do skinny jeans and a t-shirt and things like that. And those styles just didn't fit my body. It's not that I couldn't fit in them. I fit in them, but it was like mismatched puzzle pieces. And so I felt myself constantly trying to look like everyone else, but I didn't. And that happened in middle school, and it happened again in the workplace. And it's no one's fault, but it was my reality. And it really did hurt my mental health to not fit that mold. So
That couldn't have been easy as a little girl. So, how do you feel the first time someone said, I see myself in you? How did you feel?
I cried, I saved it. I gosh, I personally could have used to see me 10 years ago online. I I cried because I know what it feels like to look online for fashion inspo,
Mm.
but it doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. What looks good on most of the plus size creators didn't look good on me. And I never once saw myself represented in anything online. The fashion
Mhm.
plus size creators had beautiful bodies. They had bodies that even if I was still plus size, I would still want their body because
Mhm.
they were shapely in a way that I thought was beautiful. I didn't fit into that. And then on the other hand, I also heard about people talking about body positivity a lot. And I didn't fall into that either because, again, I didn't look like them. And I looked at them online and I said, I can see how they can be body positive. They're beautiful. Their bodies fit their clothes. They fill out the jeans. They look gorgeous in everything that they wear, even if they are a larger size.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way about myself. When I put on jeans, I see a saggy bottom and baggy legs, and then my belly is uncomfortable in the jeans, and just nothing fits right. And add on to the fact that I'm 5'10", which is great. I love being tall, but it just adds another difference, if you will. I just a difference. And so
Mm.
I didn't own the difference. I tried to be the same. And so when I hear that, I go
Mm.
back to 20-some-year-old Lindsey, who
Mm.
just needs to see somebody that looks like her feeling good about themselves. And so I think that that's what keeps me going is there are people looking to me to feel good about herself.
Themselves.
They want to see that. They need to
Yeah.
see that. So
So what does body neutrality mean to you?
it means that you take the worth of yourself out of the equation when it comes to your body. So I
Mm.
am a good person. I am a capable person. I am a beautiful person. I am beautiful. But that none of that is my worth. My body is not my worth.
Yeah.
I do not owe it to anyone to be a specific shape or size. And my body is just a body. It does what I need it to do. It can do really great things, even if it is larger or even if it is smaller. I say that body neutrality is not just about the size of my body. It could be the size of someone's nose. It could be Their arms, it could be maybe they have large feet and they're self-conscious about that. There's a ton of things that we don't think about that we're self-conscious about.
Yes.
And so body neutrality is just taking your self-worth and your body in them. You don't have to put the two together. You can look in the mirror and just see yourself and look yourself in the eye and be happy with the overall picture without feeling like you have to be overly positive
Yeah.
or I don't have to look at myself in the mirror and say, "Oh, I love my body." That's what body positivity told me as a young person, whether that's true or not. That's what it told me, is that I had to look in the mirror and say, "I love my body." And when I tried to do that, I was like, "Oh, that's a lie. I
Oh,
do not feel that way." Now I can look at myself in the mirror and just love myself and
who
not have
you
my body be a piece of the whole puzzle. And I also say that when I found ways to dress myself that made me feel good, made me feel like myself in clothes that fit well and
are.
were comfortable and clothes that I feel like made my personality shine, that
Yeah.
is also a key part in confidence and body neutrality and even leaning into feeling positive about how we look at ourselves in the mirror and how we see ourselves. So
So how do you manage being vulnerable online with such a large following around you?
I say to myself every day that I have said so much worse to myself than anyone can say to me online. When
Mm,
I have looked in the mirror and looked at myself in my darker times, the things that I said to myself, there is nothing that anyone in the world can say to me that will beat that. There is nothing, because when you're vulnerable online, you open yourself up to a variety of thoughts and opinions, and that is hard. But at one point, I believed it for myself, and I'm the only one that was saying it. So
it's
when I
sad.
start, it
It's
is,
sad. They say that we say things to ourselves we would never say to our best friends. As
yeah,
women, we rarely beat ourselves up.
we do.
Wow.
We
So, what
do.
advice would you give to women who are hiding parts of themselves?
The thing that makes you different is what makes you unique, and it is what sets you apart from
Mm,
everyone else in the world. My apron belly is what everyone needed to see.
yeah.
My apron belly, while it's not my personality and it's not who I am, it's what set me apart amongst the sea of people. Your most vulnerable thing, the thing that you want to hide, the thing that you want to tuck away, is likely what the world needs from you. It's your
Wow.
uniqueness.
Yeah.
And so I tell people that whatever their story is, I have friends that say, I want to be a singer and I want to sing on social media, but
Mm,
I am this. And I say, you are that. But there are people that are also that
yeah.
need to see it too.
It.
And that's who you are.
Mm,
So I
that's just
encourage people,
beautiful.
yeah. It
Embrace your uniqueness. I just love that perspective.
And who knows you better than you? You can
Mhm.
talk about that uniqueness
Yeah.
probably endlessly. It might be hard at first. For me, part of the whole process was healing through it. By telling my story and getting it out there and saying it out loud, I found myself healing. I found myself becoming more and more okay with testing the boundaries of what I wear,
Yeah.
testing how I show up online, testing who I am out in the world and what I'm willing to go out and do on my own or with friends. The more I showed up online, the more I found my community, the better I was as a person. And
Yeah.
so I always encourage people to try it. The worst thing that can happen is what? You don't like it, you stop doing it, no one notices because you only tried it a little bit.
Yes.
You might like it. You might find one person that sees that video and says, wow, I needed to see that today. And if you get one of those, that's the fuel. That's the fuel to do it again. So
Oh, I just love that. Now, let's talk a little bit about motherhood. What are the biggest myths around plus size motherhood that you would like to debunk?
biggest myths around plus size motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's a big question. I would say that a lot of people think that if you're a plus size mom, you are doing everything wrong in terms of parenting. And I've been told that online. I've been called a bad mom because I'm plus size. And that's the one comment that will trigger me into a rage because it's not true. It's not true. We are all out here doing our best, right? And we all want to raise, well, we mostly all want to raise our kids to be the best that they can be, to give them more than what we had, to teach them to be a better human than we are, to give more to the world, to get more out of the world. That's what we all want. But there are people that assume that because you're a plus size mom, you're lazy. They
Yeah.
assume that you're feeding your child garbage all the time. They assume that you're a plus size mother, you're going to raise a plus size child and a plus size adult. And I say to them, so what if they are? Like why are we even commenting this? But it always goes back to me to that aspect of you must be a terrible mom if you're a big mom. It's just not true. It is ugly to say to someone, and it's hurtful to the children. Even if
Yeah.
they never see that comment, that
Yeah.
the mother sees it. And I see it out in life as well. I love to hike, and I used to hike a lot. People would assume that you can't, right, as a plus size person, or
Yeah.
that you're lost. Um, and that's not true. You can be doing all the right things for yourself to grow, to be strong, to be capable. But because you're plus size, there's an automatic negative thought
Yeah.
about you in the world. And it's harmful. And it's not helping anyone who is plus size make changes if they want to, first of
Yeah.
all. But also, that person doesn't owe it to anyone to change themselves.
It's their life. Yeah. I
It's their
love
life.
that.
Like, leave them alone.
So, so what role does storytelling play in your healing process?
Every time you tell a story, you remember something else. You get another part out, and someone else hears it and offers another thought. Part of the storytelling is not a one-way street. It's not I tell my story and then I get out into the world and then it's done. It's a dialogue. It's a dialogue with me and my audience. It's a dialogue with me and the people who leave not nice comments about me. It's a dialogue that I don't even oftentimes know that I'm having because someone's hearing my story, staying silent for the moment, but
Yeah.
really thinking on it and hearing about it and then making changes in their life and then coming back later. But so when I think about telling the story and the healing process, I'm constantly being challenged by the people who are hearing me. They're
Yeah.
giving me other things to think about. They're giving me their own insights. They're telling me how they see me, which also shapes how I see myself.
Yes.
It's a dialogue. And so I think I coach people on that a lot. When you are making content, don't think about you're shouting your story out into the world. You're not standing there with a blowhorn. You have to tell a part and then listen.
Yeah. It's a
The
two-way
listening,
thing. You get more out of the listening than in the talking. I love that.
yeah, I
Wow.
get so much out of my comments and the people who really share their heart and soul through DMs and things like that. And my life has been changed because of how people see me. I didn't know how people would see me, and I'm lucky enough that they tell me.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful. So, how do you balance being authentic with the pressure to constantly create?
That's I don't know anything else. I kind of started just being myself, and I try my best to be myself at all times, whether I'm giving a clothing review, an underwear review. Obviously, as a content creator, if you're doing content and you're got any type of monetization, there is a pressure to be a certain type of way. And the
Yeah,
best thing that I can do is just always go back to my own stories. And so if I don't know how to say something without offending millions or ruining my, content creation journey by saying the wrong thing, I go back to just telling my truth. I just always go back to it. I revert back to telling my truth, and that always steers me in the right direction when I start to kind of lose course. We all do, I think. I think we all start to lose course as we get into this like monotonous like tasking of content creation or even running a business. I worked in retail for a long time, and they say that you have what we call store blindness. You walk into the same store every day, you don't see the mess. Same thing with your
that's
house. You walk into your house every day, you don't smell the lingering smell that people might walk in after. You just don't. And so I just revert back to my truth. I revert back to basics and talking about the things that I know. Start listening more. I
yeah,
might get into a cycle, especially after a viral video. I might get into a cycle of kind of checking out mentally in the content creation, because
mhm,
there's something about a viral video that will just consume your brain through whether it be positive comments or negative comments. It just kind of gets to be all consuming. And
yeah,
so I might find myself checking out, and I really do have to like restart and start over and go back to the beginning of why I'm here. Another
yeah.
way is just listening to the audience and seeing what they want to hear from me. Answering questions that might be uncomfortable is a really good way to get there. People on social media have a really bad habit of asking questions that they would never ask a stranger in real life. And so I like to say that I am the one person that will answer them. And I have no shame in that. If you want to know something, I will tell you. It might not be what you want to hear. It might not be the pretty response, but it is the surefire way to remain true to myself on social
Mm.
media and content creation. And so I think starting at the beginning, going back to basics and just going back to your truth is like the surefire way to be yourself online. And
So true. So let's finish off with two questions. One, I'm going to teleport you back into the past.
okay.
If I could take you back to the past to meet this young woman who has gone out into the world, is struggling with her self image, unsure who she is, and feels she needs to say something. She has something to say. Just in case there's somebody who is listening to us right now who is compelled to share their story, like what you have done, what three nuggets of wisdom would you give her? What would you have wanted somebody to have said to you when you were starting your journey?
The thing that sets you apart, the thing that will connect with other people, is the part of you that you want to hide, the part of you that you tuck away, that you hope no one sees. That's the part that everyone needs to see. That is the part that gives you your power. That is the topic that you can talk about endlessly. That is who you are. And for me, that was my apron belly. I spent my entire life trying to hide it. And it's the one thing that really I can talk about endlessly. It's the one thing that has shifted and changed my entire life from who I was as a young girl to my teenage years, adulthood. My apron belly has shaped who I am. And I tried to hide it. I tried to tuck it away. I wanted to take it off. And sometimes I still do. I still think about that endlessly. But it is the one thing that everyone needed to see that needed to see me. It's the one thing that set me apart from other creators. It is the one thing that changed my life, changed other people's lives. And so if there's something about you that you want to squirrel away, put away, make sure no one ever sees, that's the thing that you should be talking about. That's the thing that will change your life. That is the thing that will make it so that the people who are watching you, who need to see you, find you. So talk about it. Talk about it. It's uncomfortable. It's scary, but pull out the camera and just talk. You won't regret it. If nothing else, it'll heal you by getting it out.
That's beautiful. Now let's teleport into the future and go and meet the 90-year-old you. And she's sitting in her rocking chair. Maybe she's on a dance floor, surrounded by her children and her grandchildren. If we could teleport into the future to meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? This woman who's built a legacy supporting plus-size women to love their bodies and to love who they are.
I don't know that I would have a lot to say to her other than you did the thing that nobody thought you would do. You did the thing that changed people's lives. I think I would grab her hand and dance. I think I would grab her hand and dance because it's one of the things that I'm going to cry. I never really got to do. I didn't dance at my wedding. I was always kind of scared to dance out loud in public. And now sometimes I dance online just for fun. I'm not good at it, but I would grab her hand and dance and would share in that joy of just living in our bodies and moving our bodies and being happy. And we would celebrate together and we would love together and we would move and dance like no one's watching, even if everyone's watching. And that would be a moment of celebration for us because
That's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Lindsey, thank you so much for coming online and
Yeah.
inspiring the community today. It's been such a pleasure meeting you. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you. And today you've heard an incredible story of what you can do if you are different. The thing that you want to hide the most is what you should be sharing with the world. And Lindsey had the courage to do it. She has a massive following all over social media, telling her story to inspire and uplift other women who are not feeling 100% about their bodies. So tune in again tomorrow, everybody, when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Lindsey, thanks again for your courage and authenticity. Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. and join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.